I didn't do anything illegal, nothing like that. But the fact of the matter is that we've done a bloody good job. I think the skip company got knocked, the scaffold company got knocked, everybody else got knocked. This stuff goes on all the time. And there's some things that I could have done and should have done that, so that didn't happen. That's game over. Oh, you wouldn't put your dog out in this. Talking of dogs. This is Billy, the English Bull Terrier. It's Billy with an IE because she's a bitch. She's tricolour and she's beautiful. She's the newest member of the team. So when I say knocked, I mean done loads of work and didn't get paid. All right. So many years ago, Christian and I teamed up a couple of years back. Prior to that, I had Thames Valley Brickwork on my own, and Christian had MB Brickwork. All right. I was probably 26, 27. I'm 35 now. I built a big house for somebody who had quite a big, he was quite high profile. Unfortunately, I'm trying not to fall over. He'd employed a builder that was a cowboy, right? He was a cowboy, he was terrible with money, and he didn't like paying his bills. Now, I didn't know any of that stuff. And at that point in my career, we'll call it, I was so eager to work for myself. I just took anything that come in. Like, I was doing all sorts. I was doing tiny garden walls to big multi-million-pound houses and everything in between. I was taking on loads of lads. I was employing lads from the pub when I used to drink. And I had no business plan, no business model. I was just running with it and grabbing everything that came our way. That ain't the case anymore. We turned down a lot of work, and I'm going to do a completely separate video on why we do that. But in this instance, I took on a big house, and we at the end of the job, we were owed 15 grand for the last lift, and it took me 4.5 months to get it. The reason being is, so in the end, he paid. I'm not going to go into the story too much because I don't want to sort of bring that old wound up for anyone that's watching this. But I was the only contractor on the whole job that got paid. I think the skip company got knocked, the scaffold company got knocked, everybody else got knocked other than us. And like I said, it took 4 months to get it. Christian, before we teamed up, did get knocked for 15 grand. He actually took the guy to court and he ended up getting 8p on the pound. Right, so what that means is he got next to nothing. If you're a new company, that'll cripple you. Like if you're a startup, that's game over. And there's some things that I could have done and should have done that, so that didn't happen. All right, I'm going to go into those in a second. The only reason we got paid is because he was high profile, and I leveraged that to get the money. Now, I didn't do anything illegal, nothing like that. But the fact of the matter is that we've done a bloody good job, and we wanted paying, right? It's exactly the same if you're a homeowner. There's a lot of builders out there that are cowboys, that don't pay their bills, that take money from clients for materials, and you never see them again. Like, this stuff goes on all the time. Construction is full up with people that, you know, a lot of people have got a shady past, and unfortunately, you know, people get caught in the crossfire. So if you have an extension done, this is for you as well. One of the things that I didn't do, and it's probably one of the biggest things that I should have done, was my due diligence, right? We live in the information era, okay? So we've got Google. As soon as I get an inquiry now, I Google them straight away. Google them, I look at the reviews, I look at how they show up to their customers. I look at, so I try and find out, you know, sometimes you can go on forums and find out if anyone's been knocked by them. Google reviews is a wonderful tool. We're actually trying to build our Google reviews out for that reason, that, you know, people can see what we're about. They can see how we show up as a company, right? So due diligence is everything, all right? Sometimes, you know, look, some con men are clever, right? They package it up and put a bow and a whistle on it, a bell and a whistle on it. But I think in the information era, you can at least find people that they've done work for before, contact them direct and ask them what they were like. During the whole sort of the 4-month process of trying to get our money, I managed to contact some paint and decorating company that done work for him, and he said he contacted cowboy builders. They took him for a lot of money, and if I'd have done my homework early doors, I'd have known that, but I didn't, because I was so eager and so keen to work for myself and be a businessman and whatever, just rubbish. But I didn't do my due diligence. So first and foremost, that is number one. You have to do your homework on these companies, whether you are a homeowner, if you're having work done, or if you're a contractor like myself, going to do work for a builder or developer. First and foremost, find out what they are about. Stop for coffee, mate. Baltic out there. Listen, number two is super simple. How people do one thing is how they do everything, all right? If you send out an inquiry, or you send out your homeowner, you want an extension doing, and you contact a builder, and they're very difficult to pin down. You know, they don't get a quote back when they say they're going to get it back. They're difficult to pin down to a site meeting. I probably wouldn't bother, because if they're difficult at the beginning of the job, the chances are when something goes wrong or money's involved, they'll be difficult again. All right, it's the same for us as contractors. So if I look back to that example I gave, that guy was difficult from the start. He was difficult to pin down. It took him ages to send up the order for us. And I got the feeling he was a messer right from the get-go, and he turned out to be a messer. All right, how people do one thing is how they do everything. Communication is absolutely everything in business. Whether you're, like I say, you're the client or you're the contractor. For me, if the communication's poor at the beginning, then we sack it off straight away. All right, and if it's poor during the job, we won't do another job for that person, and that's not personal. But you'll be knee deep in shit whilst a great opportunity passes you by, you know, or you'll be knee deep dealing with a terrible builder or a terrible contractor, when all the other good contractors are doing work for other people and doing good jobs for other people, you know. So due diligence is massive, and how they do one thing is how they do everything. I could have saved myself a lot of pain, a lot of rubbish, if I'd have seen the warning signs and the red flags from the get-go. If you can't pin someone down via email at the beginning of the job, chances are when they owe you money, you might not be getting paid. Right, the last one is damage limitations. All right, so what we do is we nail down those payment terms. All right, a lot of the time when you're working for shady customers, what they'll do, because if they're selling the house, for example, they can't, if it's a developer, they can't sell the house till it's built. So a lot of the time what they do is they pay the first payment, they pay the second payment, pay the third payment, and you get knocked at the end of the job. All right, so don't leave too much money behind on a job. When I first started again, I was super eager, super keen. I was like, oh, yeah, we'll sort that out on the next lift. Or they'd say, oh, well, what we do is, I'll put a 10 grand invoice in. They say, oh, well, I'll give you 8 and we'll stick 2 next time. And I'll be like, yeah, no worries, mate. Nah, payment terms are crystal clear these days. And if you're having work done at home, make sure they are absolutely nailed on. This is when we make payment at this stage of the job, when this has been done. Otherwise it gets there's no grey areas. All right, then what happens is, if you do get knocked at the end of the job, if you're a contractor like us and you get knocked at the end of the job, it's not for a massive amount of money and it's not catastrophic. All right, if it's 2 or 3 grand for the gables, you might be able to get away with that and carry on trading. If you get knocked for a big amount at the end of the job, a lot of the time it's curtains. Right, so due diligence is number 1, do your homework. Number 2 is how one person does one thing. How someone does one thing is how they do everything. All right, if they're shady at the start, bin them and go somewhere else. Right, don't just take work on for the sake of it. All right, and number 3 is nail on your payment terms and leave as little money as you can behind at the end of the job. If you're a contractor like us working for a developer or a builder, and if you are a homeowner, nail on your payment terms with the builder. Have exactly at what stage of the build you expect to make payment to the builder and what you expect to be done for that money. All right, clarity is everything. Clarity and communication in business are everything, and it minimises the risk of getting knocked. Obviously, if someone's going to go bankrupt, a lot of the times there's not a massive amount you can do about it. But from my experience, and that's all this is there's a lot of red flags. Do you know what I mean? You hear people talk about relationship red flags. There's business red flags as well. And don't ignore them, because when I have in the past, it's come back and bit me in the ass. All right, that guy that knocked everyone and the one that very nearly knocked me, I believe he got his comeuppance. I was sat wrapping my kids' presents on Christmas Eve. This was years ago. and I got a phone call from someone that you didn't want to get a phone call from, a debt collector. I don't think it was a professional kind. And they were on the way around mate's house on Christmas Eve. So if that's how you decide to show up in business, you know, that's a decision. You make a decision to behave like that, and you will come unstuck. You can't move like that in the construction industry. And if you do, your time is limited. If you are shady, if you duck and dive, if you're rubbish with money and terrible with communication, it's only a matter of time till your business goes pop. And if you are a homeowner doing work, just do everything you can to protect your money. And the flip side of that is, when they have done what they said they're going to do, when they've hit those action items that you guys have agreed at the start, make payment promptly. That will keep the contractor happy, and everyone will get the job done with a smile on their face. And ultimately, that's the game, right? Both parties need to be happy. Calm communication's everything, and just minimise risk of being knocked. I hope that's made sense. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications and all that. I'm trying to bring you content week in, week out, every single Tuesday, and I'm trying to help you guys with our experience of what we've been through and what we're going through with an active construction company. So I'll see you all next Tuesday. Big love. I'll see you soon.